On the morning of November 14, 2025, Ashwood woke up, and nobody answered. On November 27, 2025, the world was still whispering the name of Ashwood, a sleepy town in rural Vermont that had simply disappeared. Not in the way a wildfire or a flood sweeps through and leaves ash and ruin behind. No, Ashwood was there, entirely intact, houses standing, lawns manicured, cars parked in driveways, and dinner plates left uneaten on kitchen tables. But every person, from the oldest resident to the newborns, had vanished without a trace. The first to notice were the mail carriers. Mrs. Ellison, who delivered letters in the early morning fog, had knocked on the Johnsons' door at 6:17 a.m. on November 14. No answer. Strange, she thought, but maybe Mr. Johnson had gone to work early. She moved on, leaving the letters in the mailbox. By the time she circled back at 10 a.m., the entire street was empty. Cars were in driveways, doors unlocked, and yet not a soul stirred. News crews descended within hours, cameras flashing across the town square, capturing the eerie stillness. Dishes were stacked in sinks. Laundry hung on clotheslines. Even the bakery, which should have been humming with the scent of fresh bread, was silent. The cash register had money in it. The cashier's chairs were spun halfway around as though the clerks had been pulled away mid-task. Nobody came forward with sightings. Nobody could explain it. Detectives, scientists, and government agents poured in, trying to understand the impossibility. Fingerprints were dusted, surveillance footage analyzed, and every household combed for clues. All that remained were signs of life frozen in time, as if the townspeople had been evaporated into thin air. Security cameras caught only the last moments, mundane actions repeated, a man adjusting a picture frame, a child reaching for a toy, a cat pausing mid-pounce. And then, nothing. The first theory, whispered by locals and journalists alike, was mass abduction. Aliens. Government experiments gone wrong. Yet no evidence of transport, no footprints, no vehicles capable of removing hundreds of people overnight. Theories shifted to more sinister explanations: collective hypnosis, viral pathogens with undetectable traces, or a rift in reality itself. Dr. Elena Morrison, a physicist specializing in quantum anomalies, arrived on November 16. She had been studying unexplained phenomena for over a decade and had seen cases that defied logic, but Ashwood was unprecedented. She walked down Elm Street, her boots crunching on fallen leaves, and paused at a small wooden swing set in a yard. The swing swayed gently in the November breeze, as if nudged by an invisible hand. "People can't just vanish," she murmured, staring at the empty horizon. "Not like this." But they had. And whatever took them had left the town's physical reality untouched. Morrison set up instruments, detecting faint electromagnetic fluctuations that didn't correspond to anything in known physics. "It's like reality is unstable," she said. "Like Ashwood exists on two layers at once, and the people were pulled into a layer we can't see." News networks were relentless, broadcasting live from the ghost town, showing viewers the untouched interiors of homes. In one small cottage, a teapot rested on the stove, steam curling as if someone had just poured water. Upstairs, a journal lay open, the pen poised mid-sentence. The last words written were, "Something's wrong. I don't know what's happening. Please." Families of the missing flooded phone lines, demanding answers. But all the authorities could offer were empty reassurances. The phenomenon had no precedent. And slowly, panic spread beyond Ashwood, infecting the nation with the chilling realization: what if this could happen anywhere? Among the experts who descended on Ashwood was Agent Mark Calder, a man who had spent his career investigating the unexplainable. He was skeptical by nature, but Ashwood tested even his limits. Walking through the town, he felt a prickling sensation at the base of his neck, the sense of being watched. No one was there. In the town library, Calder found something strange. On the central table lay dozens of newspapers, each dated November 14, the day the disappearance occurred. But the papers were slightly different from the editions he remembered reading elsewhere. Headlines were skewed, reporting events that had not happened in the outside world. Ashwood celebrates the arrival of the unknown, residents claim voices from the shadows. It was as if Ashwood had created its own timeline before vanishing. Elena Morrison joined him, whispering, "This is information from a parallel timeline, maybe a fold in spacetime." They didn't just disappear, they shifted. That night, Calder stayed in a vacant motel on the edge of Ashwood. He was awakened by the faintest sound of music drifting through the streets, a lullaby sung softly, almost imperceptibly. He followed the sound, flashlight in hand, toward the town square. The swing set moved gently in the wind. The bakery's bell jingled, though no one was there. And then he saw it, shadows flitting across windows. Not real people, not tangible, but the unmistakable shapes of residents going about their lives. A woman hanging curtains, a boy kicking a ball, a man staring out a second-story window. Calder froze, heart pounding. They were echoes of the town, trapped in some intangible, parallel layer. "It's a memory," Morrison said from behind him. "No, it's more than that. They exist in some in-between state. They can see us, maybe, or maybe we're just glimpsing a version of them that never returned." Weeks passed. Experiments were inconclusive. Drones scoured the surrounding forests. Cameras were left on in homes to capture anomalies. And slowly, the truth began to emerge: Ashwood hadn't been taken. Ashwood had chosen. Evidence suggested a pattern: the disappearance coincided with subtle, almost imperceptible anomalies in the town's magnetic field. Local folklore mentioned the silent veil, a phenomenon whispered about by the town's founders, described as a thin layer between worlds. Some theorists proposed that the townspeople had crossed into another dimension, perhaps voluntarily, drawn by something unseen. It was Agent Calder who first documented a chilling discovery. Late one night, reviewing video footage from the Ashwood High School gym, he noticed the faint shimmer of light behind the walls. And then he saw it, figures materializing from thin air, standing perfectly still before dissolving like mist. They weren't gone, they had stepped into a space humans couldn't perceive, a reality overlapping with ours but unreachable. The world tried to move on, but Ashwood lingered in collective consciousness. Urban explorers ventured in, reporting the same cold sensation, the sense of invisible eyes tracking every move. Paranormal enthusiasts called it a thin place, where the veil between worlds thinned to a dangerous, eerie transparency. And on November 27, 2025, exactly 2 weeks after the town's disappearance, the mystery remained unsolved. No definitive explanation, no rescue, no trace. Ashwood existed like a scar on the map, a place where normal rules did not apply, where reality had frayed at the edges. The wind carries whispers through the empty streets. Doors creak open on their own. Mailboxes clang. Because the town isn't gone. Not entirely. It's waiting. Watching. And every so often, if you look closely, it's almost like it might come back.